Yo, welcome everybody back to the JV Sports Room. As usual, your host, JDino, the other half of the team behind the scenes, my man Vince.
Yeah.
Original starting center of the JV Sports Room, also Kobe Corner certified. I'd like to welcome back to the show my man Big J.
Back, baby.
Welcome back to the show.
Y'all miss me? Huh? It's been a couple weeks, man. I missed y'all, man. I missed the show. Glad to be back. Before we get on, you said Kobe Corner certified. I'll be remiss to say if I didn't want to give a belated happy birthday to the GOAT.
Like
Kobe Bryant. Birthday just passed, August 23rd. It's actually my son's birthday, so shout out to my son Isaiah too. Happy birthday. But Kobe, happy birthday.
Shout out to August 23rd birthdays, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate you joining us one last time. Not the last time for good, but just the last time for this season because this is the JV Sports Room Season 1 finale. Just like any good sports team, JV Sports Room got to end Season 1, take the time to regroup, retool, and prepare for Season 2. But obviously, before we do that, we're going to tip it off in the NBA, update you guys on a little bit of NBA news we got going on. The KD rumors have finally ceased. Looks like KD and Kyrie are both in Brooklyn, at least for the upcoming season.
For now, until KD wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and decides he wants to play elsewhere. It's been a back and forth saga, if I can say, with this KD news.
To say the least.
For now, though, being real, this is good for Brooklyn. You know, if you're a fan of the Brooklyn Nets, this is good. Getting KD, Kyrie back together, along with Ben Simmons now. And there's some scuttlebutt, some news and rumors, maybe potentially with Ben Simmons playing starting center now. You know, could be a good vibe there.
Way to change it up. Obviously, you know, KD was disgruntled and ready to leave for a little while, but I guess the asking price was just a little too high and, you know, nobody met their asking price. So KD stays in Brooklyn for now. And another player staying at home for at least the next 3 years. LeBron James signs a 2-year, $97 million extension, keeping him in LA for 3 years, taking him to his 22nd season, tying Vince Carter for the most seasons of all time. Also, the Lakers bring in Patrick Beverley recently for Taylor Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson. How you feel about these Lakers offseason moves?
I will say I call the LeBron deal, I call that the Bronny deal because it gives him enough time to stay in LA until Bronny enters the league, and then he'll end up seeing where Bronny ends up and he'll go play for that team. But going back to the Patrick Beverley situation, Lakers already struggle with shooting, so you trade a shooter and Taylor Horton-Tucker and bring in a dog, mind you, Patrick Beverley. Russell Westbrook, Patrick Beverley. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know who approved that, but maybe Westbrook's out the door. But all in all, the Lakers brought in some talent this year. Should be a revamped roster.
Hopefully healthier.
And hopefully they're healthy, yeah. Austin Reeves could be a potential starter now. Kendrick Nunn's another addition. Lonnie Walker. But Darvin Ham's got his hands full, I would say, between Russ and Patrick Beverley.
To say the least, man. J Money specifically is pretty upset about this deal. Apparently another great talent that he feels like they got rid of for another aging piece. I mean, it's what the Lakers do. It's what Lakers fans are apparently getting tired of. I don't blame them. Only other real thing we got going on in the NBA, obviously, my man Javi is hurting right now.
Yeah.
Number 2 pick, CHET Holmgren, goes down with a Liz Frank injury, ending his 2022 season. We won't see him till next year now.
It's unfortunate. He hurt his foot at the Pro-Am. And, you know, playing ball. I mean, this is what these guys do in the offseason. They want to stay in top shape and keep their game at a high level. They want to play ball. And it's unfortunate it had to happen. You know, you're missing out on, you know, the CHET versus Paolo game, the CHET versus Jabari. And,
I'm looking forward to that.
You know, we've seen this happen to players in the past, like Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons. It's not end of his career. He'll be back next year, but it is unfortunate for OKC. But this puts him a little closer to get back in the running for potential number 1 overall pick next year, Victor Wembanyama.
Nice. Obviously, this is what everybody was talking about with CHET coming into the NBA. Obviously, a little skinny. He was a little frail. They were talking about how he could be injury prone. It doesn't surprise me too much, to be honest with you.
It could be. It could very well be. But at the same time, I think it was more so a freak accident. You know, they actually canceled the game after the injury because of the court was wet. There was, you know, people kept slipping. And unfortunately, he's the one that got hurt. So
It's unfortunate. Looks like we'll see him in 2023, though.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's not too much NBA news going on. I mean, it's mid-off season. Can't expect too much. But over in the NFL season's about to start off just in a couple weeks.
Yes, sir.
Got some big news for the NFL. The Watson watch has finally come to an end. We know that Deshaun Watson will be suspended for 11 games now. And he got a nice hefty $5 million fine, too.
Yeah. But hold on. You said 11 games, right?
Right.
You know, went from 6 to 11. NFL. We ain't stupid. I don't think the NFL is stupid either. It just so happens that as soon as Watson is finished with his suspension, who does he play?
First game back. Houston, Texas. Come on, man. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it is good for the ratings. I mean, that's probably going to be one of the highest viewed games for that week. So it's over. Cleveland fans, have fun with Jacoby Brissett. And, you know, we'll see where that takes you. It's going to be tough for them to have more than 500 season with Jacoby Brissett. That's all I got to say. Hey, but outside of that, only other big news in the NFL right now is Dallas losing Tyron Smith to a torn hamstring. Huge.
Big loss.
Big loss
for Dallas. I think we touched back on the NFC East breakdown show. I think, Big Body Nostradamus kind of like, touched this a little bit, but no. In all seriousness, this is a big loss for Dallas. One of the all-pro left tackles, one of the best left tackles in the game, Tyron Smith, tore his hamstring, which is huge. He's out indefinitely right now.
Yep.
That's already being out with Connor Williams, who was an offensive lineman, a starter for them last year, and La'el Collins. So you're talking about 3 of the 5 starting offensive linemen from last year are not there. And I mean, if you're Ezekiel Elliott fantasy owner or Dak Prescott, it's be in for a rocky season because that offensive line is it's not going to be able to hold up.
I hear you on that. Obviously, as a Giants fan, not too upset.
No, neither.
Yeah, with the NFL season right around the corner, obviously we want your predictions, your Super Bowl predictions. Give us any bold predictions you guys got. Leave it in the comments or send us a video clip to jvsportsroom@gmail.com. This past season, we brought in a bunch of guests, man. We appreciate all our guests coming in. We appreciate all our fans watching. But next season, we're bringing you guys a slew of new guests. Obviously, we brought in video calls towards the end of this season, so look forward to a lot more video calls in season 2. The 16-team JV Sports Room Fantasy League obviously will be drafted by the time season 2 starts. So we'll be talking a lot about fantasy sports and this 16-team JV Sports Room League.
Now, you're talking a lot about season ending, season finale. And I think it's only fitting that we take a look back. And I got a question for you now and saying, you've been here since episode 1.
Been doing it.
This is season 1. What is your favorite moment or favorite episode from this season? Like, take us back in your mind and give us something.
Oh man, it's been a lot, man.
It's been a ride.
It's been a lot of content, a lot of good laughs, man. I think nothing cracked me up more than when my man Alex sat right here in this center spot and we decided to go in on the Kansas City Chiefs. And you asked him if he needed a wind up, and he said, "No, you got to turn me down." And then you guys went back and forth about the Kansas City Chiefs for the next 2 or 3 minutes, man. That was a highlight, man. That had me cracking up. So, how you guys like these Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm going in.
All right, look. You about to act up.
Wind you up.
Yeah, no, turn me down, dog. Turn me down. Because, listen, they're about to be exposed this year.
Good times, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, no, it's
How
cool,
about
man.
you? What you got?
For me, man, I think initially comes to mind is my first show. I think it was the NFC East. We were doing something about the NFC East and just coming on, man. I think it was Veterans Day, actually. And being a veteran, that was real eye-opener for me to come into the show. But another big one for me was something out of the box, was when we went to Chicago Dogging Company and had that outdoor show. That was very fun. So, man, it's been a long ride. This is very fun. I'm looking forward to next season and next NFL season and really diving in a little deeper and bringing some more content to the fans. And we appreciate you guys, man, for sure, because they ain't believing us. But y'all did.
Hove did. Season 1 was a banger, but season 2, we coming. Yeah, and we also did 8 episodes covering all 32 teams. So right now, we're going to look back at a rundown at each of these teams, to send you guys off in season 1. Big J, appreciate you being here for season 1.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you guys in season 2.
Peace.
Some would say we have proven veteran wide receiver Marquise Hollywood-Brown and pair him up with Kyler Murray.
Well, I think Money said it best. You know, that's an old college teammate of his. So, you know, they go far back. That chemistry is going to come into play, man.
I think it was also to appease Kyler, especially with all that offseason contract stuff that they've been going through. I think it kind of solidifies that in anybody that was questioning whether Kyler be on the field in the beginning of the year, I think that kind of puts that noise to rest. You know, for them to go out there and get Hollywood like that, and, you know, Kyler's going to be there.
True indeed. True indeed. And you know, they used that first round pick to go get Marquise Hollywood-Brown. And then they used their second round pick on top tight end in this draft, Trey McBride.
Yes, sir.
How you guys like that pick?
I think this is Dallas Goedert 2.0. Trey McBride from Colorado State. Now he gets drafted behind Zach Ertz. You know, they signed Zach Ertz. They traded for him last season. They signed him to I think it was like a 3-year deal. And then they draft Trey McBride. Go get offensive linemen. Continue to add to that secondary and that defense. You hit on A.J. Terrell a couple years ago, who was the number 2 rated cornerback, according to Pro Football Focus. Wide receiver, offensive line, maybe a running back towards the middle of those, middle rounds. And, the Marcus Mariota experiment. I think you let it ride for a year.
Hey, he made the playoffs before.
Yeah.
He's made the playoffs before.
It's number 2 overall.
He's won a playoff game too.
Right. I mean, what do you got to lose for a year?
Exactly.
Right. So
I'm not gonna lie. When I seen him in free agency, I said Carolina should go sign him real quick just to see what he could do.
He has ties to the head coach Arthur Smith, who was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee when Marcus Mariota was quarterback. So there's some kind of connection there.
They believe in him still.
You ride it out for a year. You continue to add weapons and add to this team.
And they're in a rebuilding stage anyway.
Right. And then in 2023, if Mariota's not the guy, then you draft your quarterback.
With Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota, who was injured to start the year, so he really didn't get to pick up steam until like midway towards the season.
He came on
towards the end of the year. So I think with Rashad Bateman stepping up, being that alpha in that offense, we mentioned the running back situation with Baltimore and how J.K. Dobbins was out and then Gus Edwards was out. So I don't think it's a Lamar issue. I think there was a lot of other issues that fell into place. And then Lamar's injury as well, so.
Agreed. I think Baltimore, obviously they're usually in the conversation. They just have to avoid injuries. They got to stay healthy at the end of the day.
Why is Baltimore always in the conversation? What's the reason? What has Baltimore been known for years?
Their defense.
Their defense. And what is Baltimore lacking right now?
A secondary.
They're not shored up really
even up front.
They're not really shored up anywhere across their defense.
It's probably the first time in history, Baltimore history, that their offense is probably looking a little better than their defense.
Yeah, Ray Lewis
is not walking through that door.
No.
I mean, what's not to like? Josh Allen, dual threat quarterback, does it all.
Right.
Rocket of an arm. All pro wide receiver, Stephon Diggs. You add the addition to electric James Cook coming from Georgia.
Love that pickup.
In the draft. What's not to like? Von Miller, free agency.
I forgot about
the rich get richer.
Right? The rich just get richer. And they've got a lot of nice pieces. They got Gabriel Davis, nice wide receiver as well.
Absolutely.
Nice Dawson Knox that, translated into one of Josh Allen's favorite pieces last year. And then they go get a couple athletes in the draft as well. So I like what Buffalo's doing, man.
Good coach.
I mean, and at the same time, I know a lot of people talk about the electric pick of James Cook. And there's the argument like he's going to come in and be like the RB1 for the team. I still think we cannot disrespect what Devin Singletary has done in those last 4 games of the season with 6 touchdowns, then 3 touchdowns in the playoffs.
And Carolina got the number 6 pick.
Trade it. Load up.
What are you guys looking at get? Let's switch over to Carolina Panthers. How do you feel about your Carolina Panthers? What are their strengths, weaknesses, and what do you think you guys are going to look for with the number 6 pick?
I think I'm not gonna lie. The biggest weakness is the offensive line. I feel like Cam and Sam Darnold looked good at times last year when the line was blocking. When it's not, it's over with.
I mean, that's football.
That's football.
You thought the Bengals' offensive line was bad? Carolina's was horrible. Joe Burrow's not mobile at all and still had more time to throw the ball than any of our quarterbacks. We tried 3 quarterbacks last year. It didn't even matter.
And it looks like you guys will probably be trying the 4th.
Chicago, everybody knows Chicago Bears. We never have quarterbacks. We got one now.
Hopefully.
No,
Fingers
no, no.
crossed.
We got one now.
I know.
Justin Fields is the one.
Okay.
You certifying him? You certifying him?
Yes, I am. It's just hard. You're not going to see much on tape when his go-to receiver is a 5'10" Darnell Mooney. And he's solid.
Yeah.
You put him on the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes as a slot, it's over for anybody.
I love Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, he's real solid. He just need to move. He just need to move to the slot instead of making the offense run through him. He's just, I mean, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, true.
We got David Montgomery in the backfield.
How you feel about him?
Oh, he's solid, man. That's a PPR right there. You know all about that.
Hey,
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Who else we got?
Good runner.
when he's healthy, he's a good running back.
Yes, for sure. Cole Kmet, tight end, another underrated young stud.
Big ups. Yep.
One thing we always struggle with in Chicago is our O-line, man.
Yep.
We give Justin Fields time to throw. He could work some out with his legs. Not only can he do that,
He's mobile.
but he's going to find somebody. We just need receivers. And that was my biggest downfall out of this draft. So we pick up Kyler Gordon.
That's what I'm talking
Love it. Love the pick.
I do too. Solid cornerback to match up with Jalen Johnson. Those are two studs right there working for us.
Love it.
But we need to score some points on the board.
But nobody definitely saw the Bengals making it.
Not at
So
all.
nobody at this point can really call what it's going to look like with everybody getting a fresh slate. And then the whole division just got revamped.
Yeah,
So it's
sure.
kind of like, you know, granted, I'm glad we took advantage of our needs that we had to do. We definitely shored up that offensive line. You know, the offense,
Two big signs.
power-wise, we don't need no help there. But as far as like the line, which was definitely the worst in the league. We did our homework on that one.
Yep. It's hard to get there, a second time.
Yeah.
But if there is a team, especially in this division, but a team in general that could do it again with the firepower you guys have on offense and continuing to get better with year 2 of Jamar Chase, year 3 of Joe Burrow,
Crazy.
T. Higgins. If anybody can do it, it could be them Bengals, man.
I agree 100%, man. With them being so young and up and coming, why not? You know what I'm saying? And they addressed every need that they had. So why not?
That's the best defense in the whole division. Can you name a better one besides? I don't think the Steelers are there. We definitely know it's not Baltimore.
Steelers defense could be in the
I like the
conversation.
Steelers defense personally, but we'll get to the Steelers later.
Best defense in the division.
Okay.
In my opinion, the best defense in
on
the
it.
division. Yeah, I'm standing on it. I appreciate you for being a real fan too and saying that the division was down this year because I agree. The one issue I have with the team is that are they going to change the way the offense flows now that Deshaun is there?
You have to think so, yeah.
But I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing for us when we're so run heavy and we base most of our scoring came off of running. Most of our scoring
I
came
still
off of
think
running.
early they'll probably lean towards the run, especially with just Deshaun still trying to become acclimated with the team and stuff like that. So
And he's been off. He ain't played football.
We don't even know if he's,
It's Deshaun Watson. You saw what he did in the playoffs. Boy got kicked in the face and ran through. Come on now. He threw the ball right for the tutty.
That year off though, you gotta get hit a couple times in the mouth to realize like, okay, I'm back. But they knew what they wanted to do by bringing Kareem back.
Yeah.
That was them saying, no matter who we bring in at quarterback, we gonna still pound the ball.
Pound the ball, play great defense.
I agree with that.
I mean, the formula's there.
McCarthy's on the hot seat coming into the year. First year, he went 6-10. Granted, Dak Prescott got hurt. Last year, 12-5. We swept the NFC East. Swept the NFC East. I'll repeat.
Tell them again.
Before, taking a crap to an overambitious 49ers team in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, them boys came out. They showed they were hungry, and their playoff run showed that. So we definitely were the favorites, and that we got upset. But like you said, Jason, we did have some moves. We lost Amari Cooper. Had some other moves where we lost people, but we did address that in the draft. We drafted Tyler Smith in the first round, offensive tackle. He's looking like he's going to be a starting guard. They moved him to guard. He might start as a rookie this year. So that was huge in the first round. We got a cat, Sam Williams, a defensive end, which addressed the Gregory loss in the second round. And then the sleeper pick was Jalen Tolbert we got in the third round. He was a steal at pick 88.
I still think Rust has a live arm. He has weapons to throw to. And this team, believe it or not, was 1 or 2 wins away from making the playoffs themselves.
Very true. Very true.
So I think Russell Wilson gets him those 1 or 2 wins that they needed.
Right.
If not more. So, and again, another team with a very young, explosive defense. And with the additional Russ, now the offense can match.
Pretty solid running game.
Not gonna lie.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm just saying that on behalf of Moss. That's not how I feel.
Okay.
Right.
Russell Wilson is a huge add to these Denver Broncos.
Big time.
Okay. He has weapons, and for the first time in Russell Wilson's career, he has an offensive line.
Yeah.
Seattle's been bummed for that. They've had the opportunity to fix that for years, and that's what they get.
And I heard you mention it as well. He's got a great running game too. They did re-sign Melvin Gordon along with the young stud in Javonte Williams. So
you got two running backs almost touching 1,000 apiece. Crazy. That's huge.
Yeah. The arrow is pointing up for these Detroit Lions.
Facts.
You know, starting off the top, getting Aiden Hutchinson, a defensive end in the draft. Huge addition.
And that was a gift. He fell to them, right?
Exactly.
You know?
Getting with the second overall pick was huge. And then, like I mentioned before, they trade up to take Jameis Williams, Alabama wide receiver. Explosive.
20 spots, right? From 32 all the way to 12. So they have to have confidence in him.
Yes. You know, coming off the ACL, he's going to miss probably the first couple weeks of the season. But when he gets back, this offense is going to be explosive. Yes. Granted, Jared Goff is behind the helm. But, I mean, Jared Goff has shown signs of life, you know, in past years with LA and times like that. But you're talking about DJ Chark bringing him over from Jacksonville. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a breakout season as a rookie.
DeAndre Swift in the backfield.
DeAndre Swift is still there. TJ Hawkinson at tight end. This team is going to be good in a couple years. I think we're going to see a switch here with this Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to switch to more of a ground and pound.
That's what I was going to say.
Take a little bit off of Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers is still going to do what Aaron Rodgers do.
Right. They're gonna try to keep him off the field as much as possible, and then when on the field, they're gonna run with these two big running backs they got.
Yeah.
Jay Dillon is ready to run everybody over, and Aaron Jones is still very relevant.
So when you need a third down, when you down by 7 and you got a 2 minute, got to get it downfield. Who's your go-to? Who's your go-to wide receiver? Who does Aaron?
Allen Lazard.
That's him.
His guy right now, man.
That's him.
I think that's his guy right now. I mean, that's the only one he's gonna have chemistry going into early.
I like Allen Lazard a lot. I do undrafted kid, but I do have an under the radar signing this offseason, but could potentially fall into that role of a third down guy. I mean, he's got a little mud on him throughout the years, but Sammy Watkins signed, big.
That's right.
That actually was a pretty good
collegiate stud, and goes to the Bills and spends the time, goes to the Ravens.
Oh, the Chiefs. That's where he went to.
The Chiefs, but now he falls as, Aaron Rodgers' wide receiver. And
if nothing else, I think what he can do is help mentor some of these young wide receivers that they brought in.
That's
they brought
perfect.
in Christian Watson in the second round, and then they bring in Romeo Doubs later on in the sixth round. So
and don't forget about Maury Rogers from a year or two ago.
Him as well. So if nothing else, he can act as a mentor to some of these younger wide receivers.
But I think Aaron Jones is going to be that guy. Just to answer your question, Aaron Jones is going to be the third down. You need a first down. Aaron Jones in the slot, running back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield.
For sure.
I like Aaron Jones.
But how about the Texans? They're in a complete rebuild, right?
Yeah.
For sure. You guys like Davis Mills over there at quarterback for them?
I do, man. I do like Davis Mills. I know we touched on in the past in our 2 quarterback league, a fantasy football league that we play in. I picked up Davis Mills, and I actually started him a couple of times, man. And given the circumstances, given the team and the dynamic of the team, he actually played pretty well.
Yeah.
Really only having one weapon with Brandon Cooks. It was third round pick coming out. Really no hype. Thought he played well. So I think they can give him one more year, just continue to add weapons and see going into that 2023 class, which we know, they could possibly get a quarterback there.
Definitely. And I dig it. I say give Davis Mills another year. Another guy that Davis Mills actually was targeting a lot when he was in the office was Brevin Jordan. I think they both second-year players, get them to develop more and more with each other.
You got that great running game with Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. So you're locked in there. You bring in, now you got some consistency at the quarterback position with Matt Ryan. Yeah. That's going to be huge for them. We'll see what happens with Michael Pittman and where his development comes. But I'm not against them drafting another wide receiver. Get another weapon.
I think, and going back to the running game, I think bringing Matt Ryan helps the running game in terms of the running backs in another perspective, because Carson Wentz in his career, he's targeted at a 9% rate where he targets his backs in the passing game. Matt Ryan's done that at a rate of 21%. So I think that's why there's a lot of chatter going on. But obviously, we hear a lot of buzz in the offseason, always on Naheem Hines. So, you know, moving him into the slot more, getting him more involved, even with Jonathan Taylor in the backfield and trying to get their backs more in that perspective. But definitely bringing a wide receiver.
But was there anybody exciting that you got to see in that game?
I wanted to see Trayvon Walker. I wanted to see how he performs, whether he can be disruptive in the passing game. He got a sack. It was just off a regular rush, nothing too spectacular, but he showed that he could play disciplined and let that sack come to him. Yeah, looking forward to seeing him showcase why he was the #1 overall pick.
Yeah, I like it. Another, player that you guys didn't get to see last year at all. So you're gonna actually get to see him this year is Travis Etienne.
Correct. Yeah, I'm ready to see Etienne, him and James Robinson. Maybe they can take some pressure off of Trevor Lawrence. That's the only way that they'll be able to succeed in this season. They don't have a lot of weapons. They picked up Christian Kirk.
I like that.
He helps stretch the field.
I think they overpaid for him, but I do think that he could be a valuable piece to their success.
But the downfall of their team is they can't pick on this division anymore. This division is better.
100%.
Down the board, it's better. So they're not going to be able to pick on the Denvers. They're not going to be able to pick on the Raiders anymore.
Nope.
Or the Chargers. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight every single week these guys play. But at the same time, like I said earlier, I think we're going to see a shift in this offense. I think the explosive down the field, Tyreek Hill down the field is going to be gone. I think we're going to see a little bit more methodical Patrick Mahomes, utilizing Travis Kelce in the seams. You mentioned Sky Moore, who gives him a burner on the outside. They also brought in Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster. So they have other weapons to get it done. It's just going to take Patty to be Patty. You pay this guy, but now it's on him to lead this team.
You're asking a guy to change his gameplay. Patrick Mahomes makes most of his money outside of the pocket. We know this. Patrick Mahomes runs and throws and exposes defenses when his great receivers and his great tight ends get open behind defenses. Which happens all the time. Scramble mode. Tyreek somehow crossing the field on a crap route that he wasn't supposed to run, and then he runs for 100 yards on the field. Pat makes his living outside the pocket. Now, can Pat change his game to play that way? I don't know. And then is their run good enough? Is the run good enough to sustain keeping defenders off of your receivers?
If Patrick Mahomes is going to be considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of our time, he better. That's my response to that. Is he better? He better step up. He better lead this team of lesser talent and raise them up like a quarterback should, like we've seen Tom Brady do in the past.
Aaron Rodgers. I wanted to say exactly. You know what? Tom Brady's done it in the past. We've seen Aaron Rodgers do it in the past. So if he wants to be that GOAT, we call him the young GOAT, right? So if he wants to be that GOAT, he's got to do it with this lesser talent. I agree 100%. The Raiders defense is going to be the unspoken hero of that team.
You guys are going defense. I'm going to have to say it's going to be offensive side because just hear me out, okay? So Derek Carr threw for 4,800 yards last season with 23 touchdowns and 14 of those coming from interceptions. Okay, so now you're adding Devontae Adams to this. Most of your touchdowns came from Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller, okay? You're adding one of the leading touchdown catchers in the NFL to your team that you played with, you have connection with, you already know him. I believe that Derek Carr is going to shore up some of those interceptions. Because, 23 to 14 is a lot. You're almost over half. So he shores up those a little bit. You got to assume that Devontae Adams is going to eat because he's Devontae Adams.
Right. And Waller
if
was
not,
hurt for a lot last season.
Waller was hurt.
So
and if not, he's going to free.
The consistent piece he had was Renfrow last year.
Exactly.
Honestly. Jacobs was out of the lineup for a lot of last year as well. So
you got to assume that Carr is going to have a way better year this year. Way better year. Maybe touching 5,000, probably over maybe a 55. Yeah, I think defensively is what they needed to do. I think they went out and got everything that they needed to get on the defensive side of the ball. I think getting J.C. Jackson is one of the biggest things that they could have done because the guys missed their interception. The dude picks off any ball that's in his area.
Right.
Huge pick. Khalil Mack obviously is going to be Khalil Mack. You show up the middle of the field now for sure. You got a solid middle linebacker just hanging out. Can play both. Interceptions, sacks, whatever you need him to do, he's there. You still got Bosa coming off the edge.
That's crazy.
That's creepy.
And all that alongside probably one of the most high-powered offenses in the league behind Justin Herbert, who it's continuing year in and year out, having spectacular season after spectacular season.
Yeah, even Moss, he said Justin Herbert is ridiculous, and he feels like all three of these teams that we've mentioned so far are going to make the playoffs this year, and Denver is the only team odd man out. And I mean, that's Moss's opinion, you know, but we'll go with that.
I mean, Chargers have 2 receivers over 1,000 yards. Grayson over 1,000 yards. You got one of the best running backs in Austin Eckler.
And then you bring in Allen Robinson, who's a big body wide receiver. You pair him up with Cooper Kupp. You know, you extend Stafford. I mean, they're rolling. I don't know where they're getting this money from.
Rich get richer, man.
I'm saying. As far as the draft, though, you know, a draft that you expect when you trade first-round picks, second-round picks constantly every year. You know, you're going to be left with, you know, some mid-round picks, third on.
They didn't have a first or second this year, did they?
Right.
So third round, Los Angeles Rams go.
Logan Bruce, offensive lineman, which, you know, can't blame him for trying to do that.
Yeah.
Can't blame him for doing it.
I always say you cannot go wrong with an offensive lineman from the Midwest, North, Wisconsin, Nebraska, all these
Wisconsin,
guys.
Actually, he was from.
Yeah, he's from Wisconsin. That's what I'm saying. You can't go wrong.
They just breed big boys, man.
Big boys, big body boys.
Big body boys.
Yeah, so you can't go wrong there. A player that I do find kind of interesting because the news came out that Sony Michel actually signed with the Miami Dolphins. So they lost Sony Michel. That leaves them with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. But Kyron Williams, Notre Dame running back, was highly touted pre-draft.
I mean, Miami makes a bunch of big moves, you know, at the top and on the field itself. You know, obviously they bring over Tyreek Hill and they bring in over a slew of running backs. And now in Tua they trust, right? They better because Tyreek is hyping him up.
He is.
So is.
Tyreek said that he actually is more accurate than Patty Mahomes. I don't know if you guys hear that.
Yeah, I think everyone got a good giggle on that one.
I mean, what do we expect him to say?
Right.
Exactly.
Got to have a quarterback.
I do think Tua's got a bad rap the last few years, though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when you see him play the eye test, he passes it every time.
Yeah.
He does.
So, you know.
Make some bonehead plays. I mean, but what quarterback doesn't make bonehead plays?
Well, and then, you know, you're changing position, you know, changing your coaching staff every year, right? And you got to give that guy some continuity too. So,
absolutely.
You know, like to see him put it together.
This Miami team was last year was a parallel of 2 seasons. You know, this team went 0-7 and then 1-7 straight. Yeah. And similar to the rest of the division, it's kind of parallel with offensive coordinators. You know, you're getting the offensive coordinator from the 49ers coming over as the head coach. Coming from that tree, that 49ers, the Cal Shanahan tree. And you mentioned the running backs, the additions, the Raheem Mosterts, Chase Edmonds come over from Arizona.
Yeah.
Sony Michel's there.
Right.
So it's a boatload of running backs.
Miles Gaskins there.
They even they put a second round tender on Salvin Ahmed, right? They got a bunch of running backs over.
This Minnesota Vikings team, it's weird, man. It's where they fall in this division. Like, you look at the offense, they can beat anybody.
Right.
Defense is young. There's going to be some growing pains there, but
you see all these receivers. I mean, you look down their stats. Receiving yards, touchdowns, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. And then you hear a lot of blame on Kirk Cousins. It's like, do you really point the blame on Kirk Cousins? It's like at some point, does it go to their run first offense or does it go to Captain Kirk?
There you go.
Like it's tough, man. There's just one missing. It's just one piece holding them back from everything because Minnesota's high power. I don't understand how they don't get the job done.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, you know, knowing that we bring in a new head coach, could we see a potential switch in the offense? Now become more explosive, more down the field passes to Justin Jefferson and
even more passes to Justin Jefferson?
Oh,
I think we've still got more to see from Justin Jefferson.
I agree, man. I agree.
Tom Brady's shirtless picture didn't look that great in the pre-draft process back then, and neither did Mac. But, you know, he had a great first season. I feel like kind of a historic rookie year for a quarterback. Obviously, the guy's intelligence is off the charts. A little concerned about Josh McDaniels leaving, you know, going over to Oakland. That's a big gap. Still trying to figure out who our offensive coordinator is going to be. You know, we're looking at Patricia. Didn't work out well with the Lions, right? We got Joe Judge. Didn't work out well with your Giants. So, you know, little concern there, and with the continuity going into year 2. Everything I've heard is that they're trying to shrink the playbook a little bit for him, just make him think quicker on his feet, and just make the whole thing easier for him. Everything I'm hearing going into you know, some of the camps we just had, he's looking amazing. Guy's first guy in the training facility, last guy out.
Always good to hear.
So, you know, couldn't be more excited there. some of the concerns, J.C. Jackson going to the Chargers.
Big loss.
Huge loss. Yeah.
Big loss there, so we got a big hole at cornerback, and I'm still hoping we do some moves there to fill that out. Probably going to be playing a little more zone. We're pretty stacked in our safety position. Jason McCourty's coming back. Probably might be his last year. We got Jabril Peppers, obviously. Duggar, a guy we drafted 3 or 4 years ago. One of the guys we reached for. That's the Patriot way. We reach for people in the draft, but they usually work out for us a little bit. So
Cole Strange, right?
Cole Strange. That's the most recent example. Exactly right. So,
you mentioned Jameis Winston. He was 5-2 as a starter last year. Yeah. He was looking good before the injury.
He did.
He looked like maybe the LASIK surgery helped. Come on, man. He looked like the LASIK surgery helped.
He was able to see his teammates and not the other team.
And
but I agree. We'll see what happens. It's the Michael Thomas factor. I mean,
He'll be back. He'll be back.
Not. Okay, I agree. I hope he is back.
Yeah, the injury ain't gonna take that long.
Right.
Yeah.
But we didn't think it would take this long.
Nah, he seen the season was over when he sat it down.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I felt like.
It was probably writing on the wall. But the team here that lost their head coach. Now you add Dennis Allen, who comes over as the defense coordinator. Now he's the current head coach. Sean Payton's out, retired. He'll probably be in Dallas in a couple of years.
He'll be there next year.
Next year.
Waiting on.
You lose your starting left tackle in Armstead.
That hurts.
That hurts a lot.
He was always hurt.
That's a big guy, though.
But he was always hurt. They played without him a lot.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's got to be an offensive lineman. But in the case of Michael Thomas doesn't return, or even if he does return, you still need another weapon.
I think they need weapons.
Yes. You need to add
weapons, man.
What I'm saying is these upgrades behind the scenes is what gives me faith as a Giants fan that we're making moves in the proper direction. Obviously, we go into the draft and we bang it out. Obviously, the first round, Kayvon Thibodeau, with the number 5 pick. Then the number 7 pick, Evan Neal, huge road grade. You mentioned the road grade. Mm-hmm. That's what we needed for Saquon Barkley for years now. And what do we get him? We get him. I mean, he's in love with him. Saquon personally is already in love with Evan Neal. He's apparently following right behind him everywhere they go in camp. And I know Big J mentioned us losing James Bradbury, but I'm actually a really big fan of Cordell Flatt that we got in the 3rd round of the draft as well. So looking for him to take over that position. And at the end of the day, we just weren't healthy last year. Last year, 4-13, we got 4 of our wins, I believe, within the first 10 games of the season. We tanked the second half of the season. Now, I mentioned a lot of injuries, right? Daniel Jones and Barkley, they only combined for 7 games together. And in those 7 games, I think they went 3-4. Daniel Jones went 4-6 in his games that he started. So at the end of the day, it's I'm looking at us having right around a 500 record again this year.
Best draft out of any team in this league to me. I mean, you start off with Ahmad Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
With the 4th pick.
Yep.
Love it. Garrett Wilson at the 10th pick. Then you trade up to get Jermaine Johnson.
Huge.
And get an edge presence on your team. And then you follow that up in the 2nd round with Breece Hall. And then, shout out to Shaheem Holloway with this 3rd round pick, former St. Pete coach that took that team, St. Peter's coach that took that team to, March Madness.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He went and made the 3rd round pick, who arguably to some is probably one of the favorite tight ends in his class. I'm not saying he's the best, but great blocker, deceptive speed, reliable hands, Ohio State. Jeremy Rucker, when he made the pick, it said New Jersey Jets. NFL, get it right.
You hit it nail on the head. I've been clamoring for a wide receiver all offseason. And, what does Howie do? He brings in a 24-year-old stud wide receiver, A.J. Brown, comes over from Tennessee Titans. Does it get better than that? I think automatically off rip, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith make one of the best young wide receiver duos in the league. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Let's see, year 2 of starter Jalen Hurts. Let's see what year 2 starter Jalen. Remember, year 1 he was a rookie behind Carson Wentz. Year 2 was what we saw last year was a great improvement, but still needs some work to do. So now he gets another weapon that he hasn't had in A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith, year 2, first round wide receiver we addressed last year. And and the upgrades get better. 2nd round of the draft this year, Cam Jurgens, a big offensive line addition. on the offensive end. And we switched to the defense. This is where I think we made the biggest adjustments, the biggest upgrades this whole offseason. I mean, starting with the draft, let's start with the young guys. Jordan Davis, defensive tackle out of Georgia, big body boy. Probably the dictionary, the big body boy is Jordan Davis.
I mean, but you guys bring in Miles Jack. That's
Miles
huge.
Jack, yeah.
You know, that's a huge
That puts
addition.
pressure on him, on Bush.
Obviously, you got T.J. Watt. So you guys already had a great defense. As much as Alex might not liked it, but I think Pittsburgh's defense could be one of the best defenses in that division.
But we need the end game. We need the end. That defense needs to play just when they're clicking all cylinders, unstoppable. It's crazy. But now, playoff time come, and it's not the same.
Yeah, and then now you guys have a new starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And Mitch Trubisky, right?
Yep.
Temporarily. Obviously, you know, quarterbacks coach with Mike Tomlin, you know, so let's see what he molds him into. You lose a piece with Juju. But how do you feel like, you know, the Steelers offense could carry you guys this year?
Like I said, the O-line, that needs to be taken care of because we need time back there. That quarterback needs time. Now, Mitt is more mobile, but now you got these teams coming in with duos, just like you saw last year, and we can't handle that. Even if you put Mitt back there, he might get something off, but it's going to be short. He's going to go with Comfort Blake and Fairmouth. That kid got a lot of potential. Claypool, I think he's going to have to, he's going to develop more. He's going to come out more.
I like Jace.
Weapons are there.
Yeah, they're there, but that O-line.
So Debo is in a Niner uniform for this season.
Let's see who's out.
Let's see who's out. Do you think the 49ers addressed the cornerback position to the level that you wanted them to?
I like the pickup we did from KC with Ward signing him. To me, that was big. Like I said, you know, we still bringing in like them players that, you know, we brought Jason Verrett back. I mean, come on, you know. Young Jason Verrett before all the injuries, you know, we can't question, you know, we know the talent on the field, but it's that's the thing with San Fran to me. I don't think that we truly addressed it. We brought in a free agent, and one of my favorite picks was a cornerback, which was late in the 6th round. So, but I think there's still a questionable position for us. And the 49ers, one thing about them, arguably probably one of the top front sevens in the league.
For sure.
And that can always mask the deficiencies of a secondary when you got a heavy front like that.
Very true.
But so I don't think it's fully answered, but we touched it a little.
Cool.
All right. Well, answer this question for me.
What's up?
Because, I mean, you guys still rocking 2 quarterbacks at this point in time.
It's Trey season,
right?
bro.
Is it Trey's time?
It's Trey season.
Is it Trey season?
It's Trey season.
Game 1.
I think we got to start him. I mean, look, not that we want to get rid of Jimmy, but, you know, the small business move was to release him and bring 24 mil back into our cap. Then they focused on a lot of other needs that will be more effective in long term than what a quarterback in this class can do for them.
As a matter of fact, man, that actually, I wanted to make mention. I got a buddy, my man Ben, shout out to you. He thinks exactly the same, man. Yeah, big time Seattle Seahawks fan.
No here, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get my unbiased decision. You know I can't stand y'all Hawks.
Big time Seattle Seahawks fan. He wanted to definitely make mention. He wasn't able to make it on the show, but he didn't mind their draft at all. As a matter of fact, he feels like they addressed a ton of their needs. They didn't feel that the quarterback class was strong, so we didn't reach for anyone.
Yep.
And we got 2 first-round picks next year, and with a stronger quarterback class, they'll definitely get one next year.
For sure.
Boom, he hit it right on the nose.
And they got
and so did Seattle, right? They went offensive line, and they went defense early in this draft.
Seattle Seahawks is one of my low-key, under-the-radar top drafts. I absolutely love what they did. They get the offensive tackle of the future and Charles Cross in the first round. And then, like you said, Boy Mafa, defensive edge rusher. And they take Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker in the second round was in the conversation of the number 1 RB in this class.
Right.
You line them up now with Rashad Penny, and you know they're off to the races next year once they get their quarterback. The team is in good hands. I think Todd Bowles is a respectable coach. He's got his track record, and he's a defensive-minded coach, and that's where you guys are needed the most help is on that defense.
For sure.
You know. I think the big addition that you guys got back, yes, you lost Alex Kappa, but bringing Brian Jensen back, the center, to hold down that offensive line for Brady, it's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, this division runs through 10.
I mean, without injury, If they just perform like they should, it shouldn't be. Nothing's easy in the NFL. Anybody can win any given week. But when you got Brady, you got Rodgers, you got Mahomes, those teams should walk straight into the playoffs. The question for the Bucs is, can they be the 1 seed? Because if we're the 1 seed, it's a lot better chance coming through Tampa. I don't want to have to go to LA again because LA doesn't travel, and we seen what happened last year.
Right.
You know that game wasn't as close as the score was.
And obviously, you know, there's only 1 seed that gets the bye nowadays, so that automatically gives you guys, you know, a walk through the first round as well.
All y'all needed was another receiver that game.
Yeah, we needed a secondary.
That's all you needed.
There's this guy, his name's Cooper Kupp. I don't know if you ever heard of him before. My fantasy team loves him.
That was
how you let that guy just run loose the whole game.
Yeah,
you know,
probably the best team in this division, right?
Hands down the best team in the division by far. You know, you talk about two playoff appearances past 2 years. You still got King Henry behind that offensive line.
Strong.
Unfortunately, he was out all of last year pretty much. So
he was in for a record breaking season from a running back position.
For the first 6 or 8 games, he was running through people, right?
Yeah. You know, you saw the defense step up. That was one of the big surprises of the season for me personally was their defense. You know,
big time.
They were keeping them in games, honestly.
That's why they re-signing Harold Landry was huge for them.
Yeah,
they needed to keep that piece in there in the offseason.
For sure. Yeah, give them that pressure off the edge. You know, a team that really doesn't have me. You look down the line, they really don't have too many weaknesses. And in this division, I mean, somebody has to win it. I mean, it's pretty simple. They don't really have to do much. Just stay healthy, and they can win this division again. So
Terry McLaurin got the bag this offseason. Yep. In the first round,
big resigning.
In the first round of the NFL draft, you take Jahan Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State.
Love it too.
There's some weapons here. You know, Antonio Gibson's a name that we all like behind, you know, in the backfield. This team can be sneaky good.
I like the young boy Brian Robinson they got in the draft as well. They've already said that he's going to be getting goal line work ahead of Antonio Gibson at this point in time. So it looks like they're going to a nice running back committee. They do have a couple weapons on the outside. I just literally think that, you know, the only problem they have is their Band-Aid for right now.
It kind of reminds me, I mentioned Ron Rivera, it kind of reminds me, you know, with Antonio Gibson, and now you mentioned Brian Robinson, it kind of gives me that D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart vibes from years ago in Carolina. So, you know, I'm going to, don't sleep on Washington. That Washington is a good team. That defense can take you a long way.
Yeah, they can mess up some squad Sundays. I would agree.
Absolutely.
Man, y'all tripping. Man, y'all tripping. Washington's trash. Man, Chase Young definitely needs to get back on the field. Terry McLaurin's an animal. But, I mean, that's it, man. Dude, they're over under 7 wins.